Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Debbie and I'm on the creative design team at Ellison, and I'm here today to showcase the Big Shot machine. Now, if most of you are familiar with the All-Star machine, that accommodates the Big's dies, the All-Star dies, which are the steel rule blades. But the benefit and the bonus of the Big Shot machine is it comes with a platform. Now, the reason you would use the platform is it can accommodate any of our embossing folders or our Thinlits and framelit dies. Now, they are chemical etch blades. The blades in the Thinlits will cut materials, but not as heavy as that you could cut on the steel rule blades of the Big's dies or the All-Star dies. Now, these are chemical etch. It can cut thin material, thin foil, one, maybe two pieces of cardstock as long as it's not too heavy. But the bonus of it also is with the platform, it will also do the embossing. Now, the reason you need the platform is because if you're familiar with the machine, something this thin wouldn't go through without something as thick as this to not reinforce, but to create less space to hit the rollers. So I'll show you how that works in a minute. But I'm going to show you all the different things, a couple of little tricks and tips that you can do with some of the dies that are some of our newer dies and some of the dies that are already in our catalog. So let me go ahead and turn the camera down. But before that, I just want to show you some of the dies that I'm going to be using. So this is one of our seasonal dies. It's something that you could do. It'd be a fun little project for the kids to have to share what they think the weather is going to be tomorrow or that day, or choose the child of the week and maybe have them come up and grab the little icon that would be perfect for whatever the weather is for that day. I'm also going to share with you our star. Now, as you can see, it cuts out this simple, perfect star. You can cut more than one piece of cardstock, multiple materials, and I'll show you that also in a minute. But the bonus about this is I'm going to show you a couple tricks that not only cuts a star, but a couple folding techniques so you can create some other projects. I'm also going to share with you the bookmark and some of our shapes, as well as the frame. Now, one of the frames, it will cut one piece, which is a perfect frame, but I thought, hey, if you want to do some special little project for the student and say he or she is student of the week, or you want them to share a little bit about themselves, you can have their photo on one side and on the other side a little more details about what they're about, maybe their summer. Since it's back to school, there's just some little fun projects that you can have to welcome them back into the classroom. So let me go ahead and turn the camera down. Hope you can see everything okay. So like I said, these are the dies that you would be using on your Big Shot machine. These are the steel rule dies. So the steel rule dies have the blades inside. Let me take these little pieces off since now that you've seen how cute they are. So the blades are in here if you're familiar with it. The blade hits the roller machine, presses down the foam, and exposes the blade to cut any of your materials. Now let me share with you all the great things that you may or may not know that the Big's dies will be able to cut. So these are thick foam, sponge, felt, and it can come up to 8 layers of fabric at a time. This is shrink plastic, and it shrunk down to, once it was cut, to something this size. 12 layers of paper folded. Then this is the thin paper. This one is just our packaging. I took our basic packaging that you get your All-Star or your Big's dies in, and then I ran it through the machine with an embossing folder. More felt, vinyl, sandpaper, glitter foam. All these materials can be cut with the thicker dies that are the steel rule blades. So this is something fun to keep in mind. The benefit of this is the machine is portable. It's not too heavy. You can bring it home, bring it back to school the next day. Depending on the students in your classroom, they're able to help you as long as they're 14 years old or older. Because of the blades, we don't want anybody to get hurt, but it's simple to use. But the benefit of it is it's so simple that you can bring it home, work on little projects, get little pieces together. Say it's a rainy day. If you want to have the kids do some projects, you can have the pieces all cut and then get them started in the classroom once you have them all cut. You could do it in front of a TV the night before, get everything ready, little kind of fun little kit projects for them to do if they have to. I remember the days of eating in and playing outside just because of the rain. Well, in California, we didn't have snow, but anyway, so for the bookmark, like I showed you, it just cuts the basic bookmark. Now with the little fun folding technique, I was able to fold it and create just this little folded base here, all in one pass. and then you can embellish it with some of the other pieces, and it creates this cute little snack. Just say you want to give them a little treat at the end of the day, or welcome them back to the classroom or back to school night. Maybe some pencils, doesn't have to be something edible because of allergies. We never know what, you don't want to start anything, so I think a little pencil or pen would be a fun little project. I also did the same. So the difference between, let me take this little snack out. The difference between these two is this is just as cute, a fun little bookmark. I cut it twice, and I'll show you how I did that, and just embellished it with one of the icons. But this is the same exact die, showing you two different ways to use it. Same with the star. So the star was just this simple star, perfect star, love it. Like all those materials I showed you earlier, it will cut all of those all at one time. Well, not all of those at one time, but multiples at a time. But with it folding, I'll show you a folding technique that I've done using the same star. I cut it 2 times just to create one long pass. So I was able to do 3 at a time and adhere the 2 points of the stars right here to create a border. This could go along your bulletin board, or it can also go on a desk or just a border or around your classroom door. Very, very cute project. The same folding technique that I did for the little snack or the little treat, this might be better for a pencil because it's so narrow. I'll show you how I did that. You just fold it up, it has this little slot here, and that way it can just stand up and they can put a little treat in there. Let me just, I'll try it with a little paintbrush that I have. So just give them a fun little pencil to start the year. How cute would that be? Maybe put their name on top. I think that would be great. Okay, so let me just get started to show you a couple fun little things. So this is the one that I used for the frame. So this is the frame. It cuts all these pieces at one time. You run it through, and the blades are all right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I created that. And then I'll show you, after I show you a few of the projects, show you how you can do the Thinlits as well. So this is the framelit. If I ran it through just one solid piece of paper, it would cut this frame perfectly. But since I want to create a folded one, I'm going to show you how I did that. So let me put this aside. What you want to do is you want to make sure that your fold stays within the blade. So there's just going to be a small area of the blade exposed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm creasing it down here, folding my paper in half. I want to make sure that my paper is completely covering at least the vertical area. But I want to also cut this, but what if I want to have them cut in a different color? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay those down here in the center. Like I said, you can cut up to 4 layers, probably not too thick, of cardstock. And this is our cardstock. Color Story, everything's coordinated with the glitters and all sorts of stuff, but this is this is our original pack of cardstock. So these icons in here, I want them to be different colors, so I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I don't need this one because since this is the same color that I'm going to be doing for the frame, it'll be cutting it out anyway. So I also want the bluebell and the limoncello to cut out those icons. So I'm going to go ahead, lay those down, make sure your textured side of the paper is against the blade. That's just a good rule if you have a double-sided paper, because you don't want your words to be backwards. Okay, so those are going to cut out the center, but at the same time, to save time, I want to also cut the double-sided frame. So if you can see the blades here, the scallop blades here, I want to make sure that I save my fold. If I went like this, I would get all those pieces perfectly cut, which is not a problem, but I want it to be a folded little frame, stand-up frame. So I want to save my fold. So I'm going to bring this folded end of the paper inside so I can still see a little bit of the scallops there. The scallops are still exposed. If I bring it up a little higher, the less, so if you could see, if I didn't fold it too much in the center, I would be able to see the little holes in between each scallop, just the little valley of the scallop. So I'm just going to bring it up as much as I can, so just a little bit of the scallop is showing. Okay, and just like your All-Star machine, you always need a cutting pad on the bottom and one on the top. And I'm going to go ahead and run it through. You you hear the crackling, nothing to worry about. It's just letting you know that everything cut. Okay, so there we have it. That cut out perfectly. And at the same time, I was able to cut out, since I had those other pieces in there, the star, the A+, and also in the blue, the yellow star, the blue heart, the primrose heart, and the blue star. So all those, how cute is that? Perfect, ready to go, and the yellow heart too. Yellow heart slipped a little bit, so you got to keep an eye on that. So that's what I did there. For the stars, what I did to create this little three-dimensional, I mean, you don't have to do that, but what I did is I folded them down the center. And you know it's going to match up perfectly with the other side because they are identical. Put this over here. I'm going to do it again this way, or with the blue one. And with my express glue, I mean, you just to save time, it's a simple little project that you could just do one star. You don't have to do multiples like I did. I just thought I'd add a little whimsy to it. And then you're just going to match it up because, you know, since it was cut at the same time, it's going to match up identically. And you just keep going all the way around with the other color stars. And that creates this little three-dimensional star here that I have. Now to create this piece here, what I did is I just did the same idea. I took the Bluebell A+ and the Limoncello A+. Give myself a little puddle of glue here on the side. And I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive or a little bit of express glue there and just create just a little bit of a shadow. And that offsets it a little bit. Put a little foam tape behind there and just adhered it down there with the star. But I think just one star would be perfectly fine as well. So you don't have to do the dimension, it just adds a little fun. You could do it in a glitter paper, you can do it in felt, anything that you'd like. And then I just backed it up with some plain cardstock on the opposite side. Have their photo or just have them write a little message. It's a cute little project for back to school. If you learned something about them during the summer before class started, how fun would that be for you to have out there on their desk, and that lets them know where they're going to be seating for the year. So that's a little folding technique to use using the frame. Now, say I want to do the little icons. These are such cute little weather icons. They're called cloud, raindrop, snowflake, and umbrella. Well, that's simple. So, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. So I did that one with the silver and white cardstock. A little bit of silver of opulent with the snowflake. The Arctic sky and bluebell, and a little bit of opulent silver with the raindrop. And then I did the same, couple extra colors using the umbrella. Fun little project that they can do. So let me just show you how I cut that. I won't take the time to assemble it, but I have the papers already ready. So like I said, you're able to cut more than one at a time, and like you saw. So for the umbrella, I use silver, pink fizz, and mermaid kiss. Go ahead, and since I want to make sure the silver is going the correct way, make sure it's going against the blade. So there's the umbrella. I'm going to lay that down there like that. For the raindrop, I have Arctic sky, bluebell, and the opulent. If I can pick that up. Same thing. I'm going to put that up against the raindrop die like that. And for the snowflake, if I'm not sure if I want to use white glitter, Arctic sky, and silver glitter, how about all three? Put that down there. And then for the cloud, same idea. I've got the white cardstock and lay them all down. So it's equal, even, balanced for the different materials I'm cutting. And I'm going to go ahead and run it through the machine. Like I said, I won't take the time to assemble it, but just to show you how it can cut so many at one time. Put that all on there. Let me fix it since it shifted a little bit. So with the back to school, I'm sure with you finally getting back into decorating your classroom instead of just your backdrop at home with your virtual classes, these are just some fun little things that you can have waiting for the kids when they come back to class, or decorating each desk, or your bulletin boards. It's just kind of fun to have them all ready and off to the side. I'm going to run it through one more time, even though it's not completely necessary, just to make sure it cut through all those layers. And you can see that it did, because I can see the impressed image through the cutting pad. So same idea, just go ahead and adhere them, offset it a little bit just to give it a little bit of a contrast in color. Here's the white. Same idea, you could do it like that. And then with the umbrella, what I did is I only needed certain colors in certain areas. So the best part about this die is it gives you the perforation line, so you can cut off the pieces that you would need. So since I cut it in 3 colors to create this here, I'm just cutting off the handle and then the little tip of the handle that's at the top of the umbrella, and then I cut these pieces off, and then I adhere them all to their corresponding spots. So you know it's going to match up perfectly because they're all cut at the same time off of the same blade. So that's a really fun project. It's cute, a little idea for them to do something, you know, hey Sally, you know, your child of the week, our friend of the week, what do you think the temperature is going to be tomorrow or when we go home? And let her grab her little icon and put it on the right corresponding spot for that date. Okay, so let me show you how I did the little folding technique for the little treat pouch here. So this is the bookmark. I only want to have a certain area, which is the part with the little hole for the thread, for the ribbon to go through. So I'm going to fold my paper in half. And it doesn't have to be perfectly even, as long as the fold is even. And then you want to make sure it's covering the same amount of area that you want, or a perfect amount of area. The bigger my fold here, the bigger the area for whatever your treat is going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold it up just a little bit. So I have it folded in half and then fold it again. And then let me go ahead and score it down. So we've got it like that. Now you don't have to worry about being nervous that it's not going to cut through, because like I said, this is actually 4 layers and we did more than 4 earlier. So we know that's going to work. So what I want to do is I'm just going to bring it up. So if I have it like this, if I laid it down like this, I'm going to cut the full bookmark. That's not a problem. It's a cute bookmark. But if I want to create this little folding technique to add a little treat inside, I want to make sure that I have it folded with an additional fold at the bottom, and you'll see why. So make sure that this is completely covered with your cardstock, both sides or both layers. So it's folded in half and then folded up again on the base. And just go ahead and make sure it's even. And then I'm going to run it through the machine. Make sure your little fold doesn't unfold. And you can hear the crackling, so you know it worked. Okay, so there's that. So there's the possibilities are endless if you have something like this, but I thought it'd be a fun little treat. So what you want to do for a treat, what you want to do is open it back up, and the center fold, you're going to fold it up. And then you have this other crease line where you folded it in half. So this center fold, this is the part that you folded up, that little extra little lip. So bring that up as a mountain, we like to call it, and this is a valley, and then this was another valley. So when you look at it, it kind of looks like a W. Okay, so that's the area here that you're going to hold the little treat. And then you can either completely close it up with when you're doing your little slip knot, or you can just, adhere it this way. And you know it's going to match up because it's just the opposite side of the same end of the die that was cut at the same time. I'm just going to add a little icon here. Now we have so many fun alphabets that you can use with the All-Star machine, whether it's our chunky alphabet. There's a big chunky alphabet. It's very cute. It comes with all the alphabets, all the letters on one die. So it's a pretty long die. It's similar to the banner one that I'm going to show you. And then just go ahead. Sorry, I got off subject. I mean, depending on the season, this would be a cute little Valentine thing. If the teacher likes to give their students a little something, this is a fun little treat for them to have. And then you can go ahead, bring the little slip knot. Ribbon can be basic ribbon, doesn't have to be decorative. I mean, how fun is this? Slip knot through. Trim it up. And there we have it. How cute is that? Stands up perfectly. Put a little snack or something in there. This one might be a little too thick. So if you did a fun little pen or licorice or pencil or maybe a few stickers, or actually some little die cuts would be fun if they want to make cards. But this would be a cute little thing. You could just put a little baggie of individual little die cuts and they can create their own little projects. Depends on the season. You can give them raindrops, you can give them snowflakes, or Valentines. You can give them the hearts and they can go home and make their own little cards. So it's a fun little treat. Maybe put their little initial on the inside of that, and that's a fun little stand-up card. Another great little thing is you could just have this on their desk with their name on it. So that's similar to the one that I had showed you. Something like this, treat or no treat. Write their name on it or their task, whatever they're going to be working on for that day, and put it at their desk, and they know who they are. Well, not that they don't know who they are, but they know where they're sitting, and you know, just different little things that you need for them to know. This is a fun little project. Same idea. I just folded it in half, and if you can see, it's got that same little W shape. Folded in half at the base, have the points of the star at the base exposed, and then there you go. It gives it the same exact technique as this one I just shared with you, and just decorate it up. It's kind of a fun little project. So I'm going to show you how I created this. This is that banner. Just using the one star that I had, the one star die, and it is called Star. Funny. Anyway, so that's a big die, obviously, and it's able to cut multiple layers, but since I did the folding technique with the cardstock I used, I was able to get 3 layers at a time. I'm be able to cut 3 layers at a time. So this is our cardstock, folded in thirds. So the reason I folded in thirds is if it was a smaller die, I could fold more than one, have more than one fold or panel at a time. But I need to make sure that I'm able to see the points of my star on the right and the left. As long as you see that on the right and the left, you know you're set. Okay? So I'm saving my folds because since it's folded like a brochure, there's a fold here and there's a fold here. If I laid it perfectly on there, I would get 1, 2, 3 perfectly cut stars, but I want to save my folds and have them all connect. So I'm going to go ahead, and that way I can see a little bit of a point on this one and a little bit of a point on that one. Run it through my Big Shot. The Big Shot's the best machine. There's so much pressure. It cuts 8 layers of fabric at a time. So if you're doing any kind of projects that you need fabric cut, it cuts out multiple pieces, and it creates a great, it saves so much time since you can cut so much at a time. Run it through that way, and I can hear it cut smoothly. And there we have it. It cut all 3 at a time, 3 layers at a time, and they all connected. So what I would do is run it through another time and keep adding it. So depending on how long you want it to be, you just keep going. And how fun is that? You could put names on there. You could put words that they're learning, or different, how many vowels are in this, you know, just different little projects that you can do using a banner or just having it as a banner. And then you could go ahead and cut in another color and adhere it to that. Or you can just take another star and adhere it to that. So the possibilities are endless, my friends. Okay, so that's that. And The last one that I want to show you is the banner. So I created a banner, and it's kind of hard to show you because I'm in here by myself and I can't step back for you to see it. So I did this banner that says "Let's Read." And it's using our banner die. Let's see if I can bring it all the way down. Hopefully that gives you an idea what it looks like. But the banner itself, I'm going to show you how it cuts, but I'm going to show you what I did so I could save paper. Okay? Go ahead and show you. So the banner itself is one of our XL dies. It's called Banner Scallop, and it has the scalloped edge. So you see it's all one piece, and you'll see the score line here. Now this is a perforated score line. The reason we did the perforated score line for all-star dies is for certain papers, especially construction paper, it's softer. You can cut multiples and multiples. You can cut for 3 to 4 layers of cardstock also, but multiples of construction paper, because we know teachers have, time-wise, you just want to get things cranked out and ready to go. So we have this ready, and using the pins, which creates the score line. So instead, the blade. So instead of it being one score line, individual pins cut through the paper faster and more at a time. So that's why we did that. That way you can fold it, or I can show you how I did it so you wouldn't have paper, not wasted, but if you have the banner, I'll show you in a minute, back to back, no one really will see the back piece of the paper, especially if it's laying up against a bulletin board or above your chalkboard. But if it's in the middle of the room and you have a message on both sides, then you would need to do it that way. But if you don't want to waste the back side of the paper, I'm going to show you how it works. So what I did here, how the die works is I'm going to show you how it looks when it's cut regularly. Now, like I said, this is a XL die, which is extra long. I'm going to need to use an XL cutting pad. This is additional. It's not part of the machine. It's an additional accessory, but you do need to have it when using an XL die. Because as you can see, you need to make sure that all the blade areas is covered on top and bottom. If I only had it up to here, it's not going to cut everything I need. These parts are going to cut, and the machine is going to kind of jump because it's not balanced as far as the amount of pressure. You need to make sure that your cutting pads are as same length as your, at least covering the entire die and the blade area. Now on this machine, the blades can go up or down. It doesn't matter with the bigs. So you can see here how it cut. So if you can see the little perforated score lines, that's for you to be able to either fold it behind the banner, or you can cut it, perforate it almost like a pad of paper where you would just tear it. Some teachers like to have it completely closed up on the inside, have the ribbon coming through here like this, and adhere it down. Nothing wrong with that, but if it's a bit against the bulletin board, no one's going to see this part, and you don't need to use that paper if you don't want to. So let me show you what I did to create this idea. Okay, so here's my score line, but if it's going to be against the bulletin board, it's not going to be visible back here unless you're going to have a message also on the back. So let me show you what I did for that. So I took the paper and the same die. So here's the score line here, the perforated score line. This is a scallop and this is a scallop. I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to bring it up just a little bit on to the other side of the other scallop. This isn't long enough for me to do the same thing I just cut. I want to have a fold, but I don't want to waste another side of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring it up a little bit. So the score line is about here. I can kind of feel it. That creates a little folded area. This is a straight line, so I'm able to cut it all the way through, but keep this as a straight line. It'll be the other side or the top of the scallop, and you'll see what I mean when I run it through. So what I did is I still want to have that score line because I want it to be an even banner piece. So just bringing it up over the score line a little bit, like an inch or a little bit more maybe. And go ahead and run it through. So it cut out the banner perfectly, the banner piece. And then I have that score line, so I can go ahead and fold it down like that. And if I can find that extra little piece of ribbon I had, I will show you. So this is that area here. I'm going to go ahead and lay that down there like that. I'll put a little adhesive inside first. You can use a double-sided tape, or you can use your glue. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down. Actually, wrong side of the glue. Let that glue dry, but that way you're saving paper, and you're also you can actually, now that I think about it, you can use this backside for depending on how flat and clean you close it up. This will take a little bit to dry because of the ribbon. You could just put your word or letter back there. So that's another thing that you can do. So since it's pretty clean and finished, you could still put another letter on the back, but using a whole full nether panel, to me, you know, time and saving paper, you could just use the same technique. Just have a partial area where you're folding it so it hides the ribbon as well. So that's the same little technique. This is something cute. It could be a little door hanger. It could be on the back of their chair. If it's their birthday, you can put a star or student of the week, friend of the week, all sorts of fun things that you can do creating it with this exact same die. So using it this way, with the banner, or using it the other way, using it folded in half as it is when you run it through the machine. That's another technique. Another fun thing using this is if you cut multiples and keep cutting and keep cutting, it could create a really fun, cute little notebook or little journal. So have them do one a month maybe, or have them pre-cut, and then on an extra day where they have maybe free time, they could do a little something, and then at the end of the year, when they open it up, they can kind of read about what they had done throughout the year. It's just fun. Give them a bunch of little die cuts, ready, fun little things to create projects, and then they can decorate it. So using any of these little icons, different color pages, it's fun little project that they could do. So punch some holes, do multiples of this, punch some holes, tie some ribbon, or put brads in it. What a cute little notebook. Fun little project. So I'm gonna finish up here with one of my favorite folding techniques that a lot of people absolutely love. Just taking it has to be a perfect square piece of paper, and it has to be thin. So it depends on the die that you're using, size-wise, to let you know how big and how many folds you're gonna need. So this is just a thin piece of cardstock. I'm gonna fold it in half in a triangle, okay? So I'm gonna fold it in half perfectly. Have to make sure it's evenly folded here. Okay, and I wanna remember where the center of my paper is. So here's my center here. I just like to keep my finger on it all the time, just because that's where I need to know where I'm gonna lay it on the die. So here's the center. I just like to keep my thumb, or always just have an eye on it. And if I forget where it is, I'll open it back up and just make sure I've got it correct. So here's the center here. I'm gonna bring it one more time. So you're gonna fold it. So that was one time, 2 times. I'm gonna fold it one more time. Now for the center, to remember where it is, if you don't want to open it up each time to remember, just in case, I like to keep my finger on it, like I said, but this is the center is, or the top point is the point that's going to go at the top of the die when you cut it. But what you're going to do is just to eyeball it, it's the area that has all the folds in it. So these are all folds, not this point, and not this point, the point with all the folds. Okay, so that's the part that's going to go at the top of the die. Okay, so I'm going to use the star die. This is the star Bigs or all-star die that's similar to the Bigs, but it is a steel rule blade. So that's why I'm able to cut multiple pieces at a time. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I want to make sure is to be able to see a left and a right portion of the star blade, just kind of similar how I had done the that banner, this one here. Similar to this, but this is going to be a different, completely different folding technique. So I'm going to go ahead, bring it all the way up, up, up as long as I can. Now, if I laid it correct, perfectly on top, I would get 8 individual stars. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is bring it all the way up, still see a little bit of the blade on the left and the right. And that's about as far as I can go without losing the bottom of the star. So I see the blade on the left and on the right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run it through my Big Shot machine. Just keep your finger down, because if it slips, you won't get the technique. The only reason I'm keeping it, I can still see it hanging off the side, is it's going to bend, and I don't need that part anymore anyway. One more time just to be sure, because I had so many folds. So I cut all those layers all at one time. And what do you think? It's a fun little notebook paper type wreath. You can't do it in cardstock because that's too many layers to cut even with a Bigs die, but any kind of thin paper, you can put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different little kids' names on there. You can have this hanging off of their chairs. It could be something that you can put their photos in. You can do it with any of the Bigs dies. You can do it with a heart. You can do it with the scallop. This could, same idea. It would be tiny, but it would be really cute with that. Any of our Bigs dies. It has to be a steel rule blade for that to work. All right. So that's it for the Bigs dies. And let me just show you really quickly why you need the platform to cut anything with the Thinlits. So the platform that comes with your Big Shot machine shows you exactly what you need to build on each level. Now, you're not going to be cutting directly on this. You still need to have the cutting pad. So it shows you exactly what you need. So if you forget, the images are right there. There's the platform, there's the adapter pad, and it shows you what you need to do. So if you have these, that's what you need to do when you're building on top of this. And it also shows you the level and layers of how you need to do it. So the platform, the adapter pad, the cutting pad, your die, your paper, and your additional cutting pad. Those are Thinlits. They're all using chemical etch blades. They're the thin blades like this, but Thinlits are almost completely solid. Framelits are exactly what they're called, framelits. You can see through them. You can actually put your hand through it. Well, maybe if not, it's smaller die, you can't put your hand through it, but you can literally see right through them. So that's what a framelit is. That's what a Thinlit is. Both are chemical etch blades, but this one's more filled in and a little more intricate, definitely more intricate. So it shows you exactly what you need to do. Platform, adapter pad for the Thinlits and framelits, cutting pad, paper, blade, and another cutting pad. And it'll show you this one, the blade is up, and this one, the blade is down. We actually do it both ways. Saving your blade up also works as well. There's more pressure on the left and right of the machine on the sides than there is in the center. So that's a good rule of thumb to remember. So let me just show you a couple ways that you can use the Thinlits. So this is using our Holly Berry cardstock. The blade is right here. You can feel it only because it's raised. It's not, you don't feel it as strongly as you do in the Bigs dies, but you definitely do feel it. Don't want to step on them, but you can definitely feel them. So I'm going to go ahead, run that through. But say I want to run this one through, it's a little bit smaller. but I want it to be kind of a ring type technique. So I'm going to go ahead and lay another one on the inside. Take my cutting pad and run it through. So not only did I get this side circle, but since I had the smaller one on the inside, it created this little ring. And since this cut out this little ring, you also are getting the one that was on the inside. So you've got that and that. Hey, perfect time for the Olympics, right? And also with the larger one, when I cut that, it gives me a perfect circle. So you can cut 2 layers of this at a time. You might lose a little bit of your texture on your cardstock because it's more pressure against the machine, against the roller and the paper, but it cuts perfectly. I mean, how fun is that? And I could have kept going. I could have cut, let me see. Now I wouldn't be able to do this and this at the same time. Why, you ask? Because for this, I need the platform. For this, I won't. So if I didn't have the platform, I need something to restrict the space to make sure it hits the rollers to do its job and cut. So that's what this is for. The adapter pad, the Thinlit pad, adapter pad and a platform, that's what I need to use to bring it up to closer to the roller to do what it's got to do. Okay, so that is the Thinlits. And just to show you, if you did any embossing, this is what this is about. So embossing folders, it shows you exactly what you need to do. You run it through the machine. You do not need the adapter pad because you're not doing a Thinlit. The only time you would do a Thinlit, just because it shows here, is if you're making the Thinlit as an embossing folder, or sorry, as an embossed image. So this is all about embossing on this level here. If you're doing any die cutting of a Thinlit, which is a chemical etch blade, these thinner ones, that's when you would use this. And you use both of them plus the cutting pads, top and bottom. And that is all I have for you today, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and bring the camera up. If I can, sorry. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've been inspired to create some fun projects for your classroom. Maybe I can do that banner, but just show you really quick. Now that I'm standing up. This is the Let's Read. So I thought that would be fun, or it could say reading nook, or wherever you're doing any reading, or just some fun little area. It could have your name and have it behind your desk, just in case they forget who they are, but who you are. But I'm sure when they find out who their teacher is each year, they're so excited because they've heard wonderful things about you. So have a great year. We look so forward to hearing anything that you have to share with us. If you have any questions or concerns about anything that you had seen or anything, please let us know. We would love to hear from you or answer you back as soon as we can. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful school year, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.